And we are back. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us on this lovely edition of the Doin Alright podcast. Me and Mr. Bryan Broaddus are here to break down this Minnesota Vikings team. You know what I mean? And boy, I saw some interesting things from them.
Yeah.
Me and you kind of go back and forth on these kind of things. Broaddus, I got some questions I'm going to ask you because their operation, it may not be good, but it is fascinating.
It is.
It's very fascinating. So
it is.
I'm going to ask you some things when we cross that road here. I'm sitting in the Iron Throne. I'm looking down at my golden phone. I ain't going to put it on the table quite yet. I didn't cue Bryan up for this, but a couple of Cowboy players.
Sure.
Kind of going through the injury thing. I think the Cowboys got lucky with we played Thursday. We get a little while, before Sunday.
Some time, yeah.
A little 10-day thing. Lamb is in concussion.
Right.
Guyton had the leg joint. Was ankle. Guyton had the ankle, and somebody else I'm not thinking about. Anyway, do you have an update on those guys, Ryan?
Well, what they're going to do is you're going to practice today. It's because yesterday being a day off, so they're going to practice the guys. We talked about with Guyton. He's in a situation where over the weekend, Voch, he came in and got rehab. He's been kind of getting rehab really around the clock, trying to get back from this. When you ask folks about with Lamb and the concussion, very, very, very tight-lipped about that. When usually there's things you can ask these trainers or doctors or somebody in the front office about, but this concussion, I think, is something that they really, really don't want to get into. So we'll see how, in fact, that Lamb progresses for that. But I do not have a word on him, but I do know with the Guyton situation, he is working to practice a couple of days, kind of see where he's at, and then go from there.
Bryan, I'm not going to take this opportunity to poo-poo on Flus.
Sure.
I've been doing that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Comment sections filled with people telling me to, Voch, keep doing what you're doing. But I will say this. In previous Cowboy administrations, I'll say, I'll take this opportunity to poo-poo on Mike and them, or even Jason. If a big player weren't able to play for your offense, that could be Tyron Smith, it could be Dez, it could be whoever, you would feel the feeling that going into that game is going to present big problems to you.
Yeah.
Like Tyron Smith used to get hurt. You'd be like 3 games worse because Tyron's not playing or Dez isn't playing, right?
Sure.
CeeDee Lamb is a phenomenal player. Man, Bryan, I feel like I got confidence in what this Cowboys offense is, even if Lamb can't go. And this Vikings defense ain't terrible. Their passing defense ain't terrible at all.
They
up there.
Yeah.
But I feel like even if you don't have Lamb, Pickens, Flo, and whoever else, Mingo or something, I don't know, I think they'll be fine if Lamb's not able to go. You want Lamb to go, but I think they'll be fine in the event that he doesn't.
Yeah, you mentioned about Minnesota's defense and what Brian Flores does. And you're going to get they've got guys that have multiple pressures.
Yeah, for sure.
Double-digit pressures. You're not going to get anybody that blitzes you more in a game than Brian Flores will do. And what does Brian Flores have to lose? Absolutely nothing. He really doesn't. Brian Flores, it's going to be and this is what you worry about coaches like Brian Flores. It's a nationally televised game where you're the only game in town. And all the eyes around the world will be watching this particular game. So you worry about Brian Flores deciding, like, you know what, I'm going to come up with some things to really stop Dak Prescott. We'll go through all that, when we get to the Vikings defense. But just know going into this thing, you've got a defensive coordinator that's super aggressive. You've got guys that have multiple pressures. You've got a very blitz-heavy type of a defensive scheme. So this will be one of those games that'll be interesting and of like, how much do you really want to blitz Dak when he handles the blitz very well, or do you want to sit there and try and where teams have done this and played more zone coverage against him? Yeah. Look what the Lions did. Yeah. The Lions played a ton more zone coverage than they did any point in time in the season. Sure. And Dak had his moments where he was okay, and then moments where they got him off the field.
Bryan, you think with the long with the long rest time, the longer rest time, Clowney should be good to go for this game.
Yeah, I think that's another one that's the one I guess we forgot about.
I got one more.
Yeah, okay. We were going to go in. Yeah, okay. But yeah, the thing with Clowney, I think that the Clowney stuff was pretty close last week, and it just didn't work out the way they went out there and worked him out. I know that Britt Brown and them. Clowney's always, I think, is going to be one of these guys. Now with the hamstring injury, I mean, he was dealing with the shoulder, neck. That was an issue. And now the hamstring, they kind of felt like that it was pretty close, but not enough to be able to play. Boy, I think they could have used him in a couple of different sequences of defensive series that they had. Yeah. But, yeah, probably going to be ready this week.
And they're definitely going to need him this week. The Vikings, if they're going to beat you any kind of way, it's probably going to be trying to run the football against you. And they had this confidence-boosting running day last week.
Yeah.
So I would assume that that's going to be big for them. One more, Brian, and then we're going to get into this Vikings offense. Man, Trevon Diggs could have came back 2 games ago.
Sure.
They didn't have padded practices and all this kind of stuff. They was trying to take it easy because of the 4 games in 19 days or whatever the number is, 20-something days, whatever the number is, Brian. Are we looking at Diggs? What's the word on him being available to play? What you think?
Yeah, I think to me though, you talked about it last week, and this is really how it went down. Mm-hmm. They were in a situation where Diggs didn't practice particularly well. And I think that's what
practiced, but he didn't practice well.
He didn't practice well, and they were worried about that. I know that Diggs has come out and said, "Hey, listen, I'm ready to go," and all that, but they kind of felt like we need to, okay, we'll practice, and we've talked about the padded practices and stuff like that. The word was though that he didn't look as good as he needed to be, and so and again, that's him trying to do but they were kind of looking at it as, okay, does he look healthy out there, moving around and ready to go? I think this week will be a better indication of that. I mean, they've had you mentioned the mini bye. They've had the opportunity here to get him ready. They'll be practicing Wednesday, Thursday. We'll see what happens on Friday and the designation from there. But all indications are that, that hopefully he could practice better than he practiced last week and then be ready for this football game.
Do you think Diggs has played his last game as a Cowboy?
I think that I don't think he has. I think they're in a situation right now where but if I see what we're doing here, but no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. The thing about with Diggs is I don't think they're holding Diggs back on purpose. I don't think this is we're mad at you. Do they want to see their rookie corner play? Absolutely they do. Do they need to get better from Bland? Absolutely they need to to be better from Bland. So to me, that's kind of where we're at right now is I think if you're Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Will McClay, and even Brian Schottenheimer, the question I would ask everybody out there, and I've asked my guys on 105.3 The Fan, I think I've even asked you as well, is, do you play Diggs at all costs? Do you just go ahead and say, okay, we're going to put him in the lineup and see how it goes? So I think the Cowboys are going to play him. And listen, let's be honest too about this. Diggs is in a situation where he has to put on some good film for somebody.
For sure.
If all of a sudden he becomes a cap casualty because he's not playing well, and now there's this, what's the last view you had of Diggs? Not very good film. If I'm Diggs, I'm doing everything in my power to play in these games and try and put some good tape out there. Because if the Cowboys, put me on the street, well, where am I going to get that kind of money that I've been commanding here lately? He's not going to get it. So unless he goes out and shows that he can do that, then I think that's where they're at.
That's a fantastic point too, Brian, because also I'm sure
his attitude has to be good.
These other teams hear about that
sure,
kind of stuff too.
Absolutely.
Because let's just say, for example, Michael Parsons or whatever, right? I'm sure he has his own rumors floating around the league too. Yeah. But people will ignore it because you put great film out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Diggs ain't putting no film out like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're not about to take a chance on you, and we're hearing stuff about cooperation and you want your own stuff and all this kind of stuff, like your diva type things, right? People ain't gonna want to get down with that. So that's a fantastic point on your.
But you could say the same thing. As a former pro personnel guy, I would call. I'd have buddies. We all have buddies around the league that we call and talk to, and somebody will call and ask, and they'll go, "Hey, what about this guy? We're thinking about signing this guy. Oh, you don't want this guy. Mm-hmm. You don't want this guy for A, B, and C. Yeah. You don't want this guy. Or like, listen, I had a friend of mine tell me who worked with the New Orleans Saints, and this is about Leroy Glover. And we were about to hand at the time Leroy Glover $5 million, and the whole thing. And I was like, okay, well, do your homework. And Jerry Jones asked me the questions about Leroy Glover, but I made sure that I had it covered. I had a guy at the Saints tell me, listen, Brian, we're not going to be able to sign this guy, but let me tell you about him. Great locker room guy, great character, high motor, high effort, plays hard, don't have to worry about him off the field.
Yeah.
Everything about him was just so positive. And everything that my friend told me was absolutely right about the player. So you will find out, teams will call about Diggs, and they'll say, hey, listen, he's this. He's not this, though.
And they'll probably call Mike McCarthy about him, too. And he ain't got a job. He ain't loading nobody.
No question.
He'll
no question.
About it.
No question. That's absolutely right.
That's fair.
Yep.
That's fair. Bryan Broaddus, man, Cowboys got to win out.
Yeah.
They gotta go out there and
possible.
It's possible, Brian, but it starts with the Minnesota Vikings, Brian.
It does.
Brian, you remember that little bit I did early in the season? I was talking about the Cowboys pass rush.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. Like they can put an undrafted character out there. I don't believe in the pass rush.
Yeah.
I've taken that back. I've stepped back from that one.
Crawfish, as we'd say in Louisiana.
Crawfishing, yeah.
Going backwards.
Walking backwards.
Going backwards.
Brian, I think my new bit is going to be in the line of
new bit. Every day we kind of have a new bit, right?
That's what we do, man. It's content, Brian.
It's content, man.
Voch Lombardi, man. You got to keep up. You feel me? I think my new bit is going to be, I don't care how bad somebody's passing attack look versus somebody else.
Yeah. It's not going to look bad against you.
It's going to look bad against us until they prove it to us. You know
right.
what I mean?
Okay, I see.
I just saw the Lions kind of go out there and do what they want to do.
Yeah.
The Chiefs haven't been great offensively. They went out and put some points up on you.
Sure they did.
Same about the Eagles, and you kind of gave the Eagles a lot of help in that, but boy, the Eagles are a 10-point scoring operation, Brian.
They are.
And they put up a ridiculous 21.5 on you. You know what I'm saying? In a half.
21.5.
In a quarter, actually.
Oh, I thought you were doing some gambling stuff here. No. 21.5. I thought maybe you were.
I'd have said 0.5, but no. So, Brian, I can sit up here and look at this Vikings offense.
Yeah.
And I could be like, J.J. McCarthy ain't good.
Yeah.
I still feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz may have been a little better. By the numbers he might be.
Yeah.
J.J. hadn't played a bunch of games. J.J. be missing reads.
Yeah.
You would assume J.J. is a guy that wants to do a bunch of dinking and dunking, and they do some quick game stuff.
Yeah. Well, last week was their best quick game.
Their best quick game
stuff. Yeah.
But he'll still throw the ball downfield a little bit, though.
He'll throw it a lot.
And miss.
And miss.
He'll miss.
And miss. Yeah. And miss.
And you would think Jefferson will be the guy that he's throwing downfield the most to.
Yeah.
But it's Addison for real. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Naylor.
They haven't been great running the football. They were fantastic last week.
Yeah.
They got some offensive linemen whose name on paper ain't terrible.
Right.
They may not be performing to the best of, to the best of their abilities, Bryan Broaddus. I saw this one stat in this package that you sent me. I'm grateful to you, Brian. This is my favorite one. J.J. McCarthy is worse in the whole National Football League, and it's probably amongst 39 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
backups.
All these guys playing. Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy is the worst in the league at throwing to wide open targets.
Yeah, it was like 72,
79% or something.
Dak, I think, is number one. I think Dak is right around 91%.
Yeah.
And I think J.J.'s in the low 70s. Yeah.
The Dak don't miss wide open.
No, he doesn't miss wide open.
But J.J. McCarthy miss them all.
He'll miss them all.
Brian. The Cowboys defense should wipe the floor. The Cowboys defense.
Are you trying to talk yourself into this one?
No, I'm just presenting. The Cowboys defense should wipe the floor with the J.J. McCarthy administration.
Yeah.
But Brian, I think they'll give you a hard time. Tell me about this Vikings offense.
Yeah. Everything that you've said about J.J. McCarthy, and you watch him, and he missed some games. So you're right. You get some Carson Wentz games and a Ballsmer game, you get one of those. I think it was in Seattle. So, it was just kind of crazy. But, yeah, this is an offense that name-wise, there are some quality players there. Justin Jefferson is one of the better wide receivers in the league. Jordan Addison, through his time with the Vikings, has had some really, really good seasons. They've got one of the young and upcoming play callers. When you look at the head coach, I mean, they've really just struggled this year because of the quarterback play. And Voch, you mentioned it. You have all these routes that they run, and what happens to them is McCarthy is just not accurate throwing the ball. I take this back. I think there's only one other team that throws the ball more down the field for air yards than the Vikings. Mm-hmm. The problem is, as Voch told you guys, they don't complete passes. They just don't. It's a big issue. His completion percentage on these downfield throws is really, really, really poor. So, now if you're the Cowboys, what are you going to have to deal with? If you're the Vikings and you're watching the Cowboys play, this is a team that the way that they run the ball, there's really nothing fancy about it. It's very much it's a zone scheme. It's a run downhill. It's, when you look at how they play with like a traditional fullback. Ham plays at fullback, so you see some I formation stuff. But you got Aaron Jones and you got Jordan Mason running the football, and these are there's not a lot of wiggle with these guys. I mean, it is just attack and then just bang off people and get yards. There's not a lot of make you miss and all that. It's like try to get the ball sometimes to the edge, and they're fortunate to get it around, the corner. And I think for overall though for the year, I saw 41 plays of 10+ yard runs. Yeah. So you're watching those, and you're getting in a little bit of a rhythm of how they're running the ball, and it's inside, and now to the edge, inside to the edge. That's what they're going to try and do. There's just nothing really, really fancy about it. Nothing really that you would say, oh wow, they're pin, pull, look what they're doing, counter tray, look at all this. Oh, look at them use the draw and stuff like that. That's just not the way they play. But they're they run the second most screen passes though in the league.
Yeah, Aaron Jones catches the ball a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. So what did you see last week in Detroit?
Yeah,
they tried to run the screen, and you haven't yet defended the flat pass yet, and the screens have actually been something that you worry about. Yeah. When you play the Cowboys, you feel like, oh, we could hit the screens here, but they'll throw the wide receiver screens, they'll throw the back screens. These are the kinds of things you're going to see. The downfield throws. It's not a bunch of the crossing stuff. There's a lot of hitch routes and stuff to it. So this is an offense though that has struggled. Not because of the players. It's really been the quarterback. Yeah. The position of the quarterback's been the biggest issue for them.
Justin Jefferson's super frustrated. You know what I mean? Like he's super frustrated. He's not getting the production that he wants. And thing about JJ McCarthy, he's got 10 picks this year.
Yeah.
He's only played 6 games.
Yeah.
He got 10 picks, 9 touchdowns, I believe, and 3 of those were like last week. So he don't really throw a whole bunch of touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting. Most of his picks came from when he was targeting Jefferson. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I imagine maybe
he's thrown some interceptions on these deep balls too. I mean, the ball has not been. He hasn't got it out there far enough for him to be able to handle.
You would really imagine that with a young quarterback like that they'll try to feature Hockenson a little bit more, right?
I would think so.
Dump it off to the tight end and running backs and stuff like that. But Hockenson hasn't really gotten the looks. I think that they're trying to force some things to Jefferson, and it's just not working. Now, I don't think the Cowboys have the capacity at all to stop that, Bryan Broaddus.
No,
I think they go. I think if Justin Jefferson was waiting on a 100-yard day, and I think he's only had like 2 of them this year, I think this the 100-yard day for Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to get right back on track this week, and I think you're going to get a big game from J.J. McCarthy because that's just how I feel. Yeah. You look at Washington, how the Vikings and them played Washington, whatever. Washington, they gave a lot of cushion.
Yeah, way too much cushion.
They gave a lot of cushion, man, and you just saw J.J. McCarthy feel confident about it.
He did. He absolutely did, yeah.
So, put me on camera. So, if you Flus, hey, dog, you ain't got to text us back. It's cool. If you could just like the message that we sent you to let us know that you're watching, but you ain't got to text us back, bro. Flus, if you listening, dog, it ain't that 10-yard space, that 10-yard cushion ain't working, bro. That 10-yard cushion ain't working, brother Flus. It's something needs to happen because if you really want to get embarrassed on this time where you got to win out and this Vikings defense could give you a hard time, let Justin Jefferson and Addison just release off the line of scrimmage as free as they want to. Not with a 5-yard, but with a 10. Give them a 10-yard cushion, just like the Washington football Wizards gave them a 10. And you talk about getting embarrassed. You talk about playoffs gone.
Yeah.
Give them cast cushion and see what J.J. McCarthy will do to you.
Yeah,
and he'll run around a little bit.
No, that
makes me nervous. Because the idea that J.J. McCarthy runs around, that might be the reason why Flus want to run more zone.
Yeah,
to keep the linebackers from not turning their back to the quarterback and then J.J. runs and stuff like that. I really think Flus gonna give these dudes cushion, Brian, and I think J.J. gonna throw the ball all over us.
Yeah, the thing that you worry about, you talked about his ability to run, and like he'll hold the ball, and they get pressure, and then all of a sudden he'll duck it and escape and run, and then. But he'll also like run around in the pocket and fall down on his own. Many times it was like I was watching the Detroit game and he escapes and he's got an opportunity and he just trips and now he's on the ground and they're punting and stuff like that. What's interesting though about this team, and you mentioned, and if I could circle back about with Hawkinson, the tight end. Yeah. This team though, where they primarily throw the ball, and again, this could be a switch if you watch. If you're the Vikings and you're watching Cowboys tape and you're thinking, oh, how do they attack? How do teams attack Eberflus? And this, oh, wait, throw the ball to tight end, run a screen, put it in the flat, hand the ball off this way. This Viking team, and maybe it's a switch, they're when they throw the ball to their wide receivers. I think it's fourth most in the league, like 41%. So you're thinking, okay, where is the bulk of their passes going? It's to the wide receivers.
They just miss.
Yeah, but could you like incorporate now the tight end? And you mentioned with Hawkinson and stuff like that. Josh Oliver, who's the backup, has had a couple of touchdown catches himself. He's one of those guys that kind of gets lost down there in the red zone and makes plays. So yeah, it's an offense that has had its moments where it hasn't blocked particularly well for their quarterback. Yeah. The quarterback hasn't he looks like a rookie. I know he was a rookie last year, but he looks like a guy that hasn't played very much. Yeah. It's been a big struggle for him. And you mentioned the frustration with the wide receivers, but the running game and stuff like that is really just kind of a power running game. So we'll see how they I would be interested to see if how they adapt to, by watching Dallas's tape, where they feel like they need to attack the Cowboys.
Well, let's get into this right here, and we can wrap after this, Brian. The offensive line you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Got some names on there that you recognize.
Uh-huh.
I don't think they living up to their name, though, Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah.
They kind of interesting in a way of kind of like the Cowboys offensive line where, when they get to hit you first, they're a little better.
Yeah.
Pass blocking ain't been all that great.
No.
Christian Darrisaw seems to be a shell of what he was last year. Could be the ACL injury. I don't know. We'll see. Brian O'Neill's a guy that they've been depending on for a while. He's an older cat now. It's whatever. The interior guys ain't good. They drafted Donovan Jackson. He wasn't great when he was in there. But Blake Brindle in there, Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, whatever. Brian, this kind of where I feel with this. I think you can attack the edges. All right, cool. Don't worry about it, whatever. I think you're really going to get pushed in the middle. Talk about pass rush wise.
Yeah.
You're really going to get pushed in the middle. But I think the way that you really beat this team, and I come on here and say it all the time, and I said it last week, and Flus ain't do nothing about it. I think the stunts and gap exchanges really get these guys.
Yeah.
Stunts, slants, gap exchange, especially Fries, especially like Kelly don't work well with Fries, and Fries don't work. Is it Freeze, Fry, Fries?
I say Fries.
Well, it Fries. So Fries don't work well with his center and his right tackle.
Yeah.
I think you can get those guys turned pretty easily. Plus, I think like a really good power rush on the outside works for you, Brian. But just where your advantages are is we keep talking about Osa, Quinnen, and Kenny, and Quinnen got the most pressure out of deep tackle since week 11, since he's been traded to the Cowboys there. I think you just let those interior guys work and, hey, man, rush some power on the outside. And Clowney being back to be a rusher for you,
sure,
be massive for you, Brian.
Yeah, I think to me that what's interesting is about with Darrisaw. He was one of those guys. I know he's he's a veteran guy. He was drafted first round and then in the 21 draft. And so when you watch him play, he doesn't play with that
power and
that power, kind of the nastiness too. There was a time where he was kind of a guy that would corkscrew you into the ground and he play to the echo of the whistle. And I don't see. I think maybe he's dealing with the injuries. I think there was a knee injury that he's been struggling with. But you're right about the way that these guys with the movement and stuff up front. And I think their quarterback hurts them too, though. I think the quarterback is very, very much a kind of jittery in the pocket. And when you see him kind of bounce, and he's like bouncing, and then he's kind of like, okay, I got to get out of here. I got to move and stuff like that. So I think that it's a veteran group. It's a veteran group with the exception of the guard. When with Donovan Jackson, if we see him and then the lineup number 74. But yeah, it's one though that they just do not. They have not communicated very well when it comes to like passing the stunts and the twists and stuff. But I also feel like that they have a quarterback that they're dealing with a quarterback that they don't know where he's going to sit in the pocket.
For sure.
And that that kind of maybe will screw them up a little bit. They've struggled a little bit too with some of the with blitz pickups and things like that.
Yeah.
You've been able to like attack their backs. And their backs have kind of struggled with those pickups.
Yeah, but Flus ain't gonna do nothing of the sort, Bryan Broaddus.
Come on, we just talk about it every week. That's all we do.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I ain't mean to say Flus' name again. I'll just say the Cowboys don't seem to be like a team that's gonna be blitz heavy this game, bro. I'll say
no. I mean, and you would think that they would try to do some things. I mean, the way I think you did a great job yesterday on our program breaking down like the early pressure and why do you go away from your 5-man pressure and then why do you do some of these things and it's a little bit maybe I don't have a great answer. All I see is when you have some success. I hated that when I was working in the NFL. I hated sitting in the press box and watching us have success. And then the next series, the 2 series, we stop. We completely stop doing what was working in that football game. And we've had some of that happen here with Flus.
We'll have an opportunity to see and break it all down and figure it all out, Bryan. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what I really hope is that the Detroit Lions offense was just a little better than they thought they were.
I think the Lions offense is good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you could see that and see 42 points from it and go, all right, man, that's a great offense.
We get it. Yeah.
But I still think 42 is a lot. Maybe the Cowboys make some adjustments there. They'll have to prove me, they'll have to prove it to me or whatever. But Bryan, no matter what happens, man, we're going to be right up in here on the Iron Throne and the mothership at the LLC at the headquarters, Bryan. We're going to be right here to break it all down for everybody. We're going to talk about the Vikings defense tomorrow, which is different. I think the Vikings defense is
this will be a challenge. This will be a challenge for Dallas. It really will be.
Nothing the Cowboys haven't seen before,
right?
But the Vikings defense does not indicate. It's not reflective of what their record is.
I agree.
Their record is terrible because they offense. They're the opposite of us almost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The offense is kind of keeping us in these games, and if the Vikings defense wasn't as good, they'd be blown out every week. They lose decent games every week because they can't score.
Yeah, Brian Flores will be a challenge. You've played against some good challenges.
Yeah.
Earlier here with when you look at with your guy in Philadelphia, guy in Kansas City, and now this Brian Flores.
What's it going to take for Jerry Jones to send the Vikings a big brown paper bag full of money and go, man, listen, you can have this money and this 6th-round pick. You know what I mean? send Brian Flores over here.
Yeah.
And,
a really good coach.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we appreciate y'all. And he was right about 2 of them.
Yeah, he was, absolutely.
Hey, man, we appreciate y'all for tapping in with us. Go to crownglobalmedia.com. That's where you find everything. Bryan, I was on Spotify yesterday.
Okay.
I ain't even know we had the video up there.
Yeah.
I knew Spotify is a place where audio lives, but I saw my face on the damn Spotify.
Yeah.
So Crown Global Media is doing big things, man. However you want to ingest.
We got some talented people working with us. Get us up on those platforms, man.
Hell of a staff.
Yeah.
We got shorts on Spotify.
Yeah.
Film up there.
How about that?
Hey, man, y'all go over there and check us out. If you don't know where to find it, you can more than likely type Crown Global Media anywhere and find it. But crownglobalmedia.com, the website, that's where everything lives. If you're looking for anything, it is right there. You want one of them tumblers right there. They got the Doin Alright logo, or you can put the Crown Global logo up there. Whatever you like, it's on the website, crownglobalmedia.com. That's Bryan Broaddus. He is not selling crypto. Don't click nothing.
Please don't click. Don't click
nothing.
Don't buy trucks. Don't get crypto.
Don't do nothing. And I'm VOCHLOMBARDI. I am not hacked, but we'll catch y'all tomorrow to talk about the Vikings defense. All right? Crown.